Next is the electrical resistance. So we are going to discuss in detail the electrical resistance. It is the property of a substance by virtue of that it opposes the flow of the current in it. So basically whenever the flow of the current is happening, there is some opposed to the electron, and that is basically the how much collisions will happen and all. So that depends, and that depends on the material itself. So this is the property of the substance, and this is called the resistance. Resistance is like it is having a resistance. It is resisting the flow of the current. So this property is called resistance. Now, electrical resistance depends on size. What is the size of the conductor? Geometry. Geometry and size is the same thing now. Temperature and internal structure of the conductor. So how conductor is made up of, what is the material, right? If we talk about the factors on which resistance depends in detail, then we have already got this formula that resistance is rho L by A. Rho is the resistivity, L is the length of the piece of the conductor, A is the area of cross section, and we also know that rho is nothing but m by n e squared tau. What is m? M is the mass of electron, n is the number density of electron, e square is like charge on each electron square, and tau is the relaxation time, and into L by A, so this same L by A. So first factor which is there is the length of the conductor. In this, as you can see, resistance is directly proportional to length of the conductor. So longer a conductor is across, basically this length has to be always considered along the direction of the current. So if this is the piece of conductor and current is flowing like this, like current is entering from here and current is flowing like that, then this is the L which I am talking about, not this length. So this length has to always to be considered along the direction of the current, not the actual length of the conductor. So this is the length of the conductor has to be considered along the direction of the current. Now, on stretching a wire, given that its volume is constant, if length of the wire is changed, then R1 upon to R2 is equal to L1 by L2 whole square. So like R1 is like initial resistance, R2 is like final resistance, L1 is initial length, L2 is final length. Here we were saying that R is proportional to L. But here what is happening over here is R is proportional to L square, right? But how we are getting that? See, R is still proportional to L only. So if I can write that initial resistance, let it be rho L1 by A1. Final resistance R2, let it be rho. Rho will remain same, that is the resistivity of the conductor. So resistivity depends on the piece of the conductor, so it is not changing. The length is changing to L2. What is the new area? They are saying that volume remains constant. It's like we are stretching it. So when you stretch a piece of conductor, so this piece of conductor was having L1 length and A1 area of cross section. When you stretch it and make it like this, see, when you stretch, the length increases and the area of cross section decreases, right? So this is A2 and this is L2. If volume was a constant, then I can write that initial volume and final volume must be equal. So A1 L1 must be equal to A2 L2. And that gives me A2 is equal to A1 L1 by L2. And let's just insert our A2 over here. So that is A1 L1 by L2. And now let us just divide this. So rho is cancelled. The A1 gets cancelled. This L1 go above and we get R1 upon R2 is equal to L1 square by L2 square. So a lot of student gets confused. There are two separate questions. One such question is that what will be the new resistance if initial resistance is, let's say, R0? What will be the new resistance of the wire when I make it double by stretching it? When we stretch anything, volume kind of remains same. So that is like proportional to L square, not L. So when we double the length, the area of cross section also becomes half. So double square is basically 4 times. So resistance becomes 4R0. But at the same time, if we are keeping the area of cross section same and we are making the length double, then basically resistance will also be twice, not any more than that. Next factor is cross section area of the conductor. So here you can see that R is inversely proportional to area of cross section. These all things are constant. for given temperature. So we can say that R is proportional to 1 by A. But again, if we are talking about that radius of cross section is changed, given that volume is kept as constant, then our initial resistance upon final resistance is R2 upon R1 whole raised to power 4. And here they are saying that it is proportional to 1 by R square, because the area of cross section is like pi R square. So pi is a constant. It is inversely proportional to radius square. But here if you see, it is R1 upon R2 and R2 upon R1. So it is inversely proportional to R raised to power 4. So again, we can do the same thing again. So we can just write that R1 is equal to rho L1 by A1. R2 is equal to rho A2. Here I am keeping the area different and length I am getting the new length. So we already had discussed that keeping the volume same will have this effect. A1 L1 is equal to A2 L2, and eventually I get my L2 is equal to A1 L1 by A2. So I am putting it over here, A1 L1 by A2, and now let us divide. So this is gone, this L1 is gone, and what I am getting is that this upon A2 square will go over here and we'll get A2 square upon A1 square. So we'll get this thing. Now what is area of cross section? It is pi R square, where R is the radius of cross section. So it is nothing but pi R2 square upon pi R1 square and whole square. And once you cancel this, you can get this result which we have already written over here. Now next is the temperature dependence of the resistance. So when you increase the temperature of the conductor, the resistance of most conductors of all pure metals increases with temperature, and that can be proved again using this equation only. As you increase the temperature, what will happen? The speed, average kinetic energy of the free electrons, that will increase. Due to that, collisions will happen more rapidly, and when collisions is happening more faster, then what will happen? The relaxation time, tau, will decrease. Relaxation time was time between two successive collisions. So if that decreases, then basically when tau decreases, then we can say that resistance increases. So hence we can write the resistance of most conductors all increases with increase in temperature. But there are some other exceptions as well. In carbon, the resistance decreases with temperature. This is not a metal, but there are like other things might also happen that resistance might decrease as well. There are also some alloys where there is no change in the resistance with the temperature. So generally we talk about the conductor and conductor only. We do not talk about the other things. But if it is asked, you should always know that there are other things as well. Now let R0 and R be the resistance of a conductor at two different temperature, R0 at 0 degrees Celsius and R at theta degrees Celsius. Then the relationship between R0 and R, that is resistance at 0 degrees Celsius and resistance at theta degrees Celsius, is given by this expression, which is R is equal to R0 1 plus alpha theta. Here what is, see, R0 is temperature at 0 degrees Celsius, R is temperature at theta degrees Celsius, and this theta is the temperature itself. 1 is 1. What is alpha? This alpha is called the temperature coefficient of resistance. So this is a new thing. I think most of you have seen this formula, that L final is equal to L0 1 plus alpha delta T. This is a similar expression for resistance as well. So like final resistance, original resistance 1, but this alpha is the coefficient of linear thermal expansion, and this is the increase in temperature. Here also it is increase in temperature. So they are pretty similar formulas, and this alpha is called the coefficient of linear thermal expansion, while this alpha is called the coefficient of temperature coefficient of resistance. Now the unit of alpha, what is the unit of alpha? If we see this, this is R is equal to R0 1 plus alpha theta. So if we make this R0 moves over, we get R by R0 is equal to 1 plus alpha theta. Now if you see, this quantity R by R0 is a dimensionless quantity because it is a ratio of two resistance. It won't have any unit. One is also not having any unit. So this term should also not have any unit. because all the terms, they should have same unit. If no terms is having the unit, then this particular term will also not have any unit. So alpha theta should not have any unit. What is the unit of theta? Either degrees Celsius or Kelvin. So alpha is either per degree Celsius or per Kelvin. You can write any of its unit. You can use this as well as this. Now, let R1 and R2 be the resistance of a conductor at temperatures theta 1 degree Celsius and theta 2 degree Celsius. Then, we can write that R1 is equal to R0. R0 is still temperature at 0 degree Celsius. 1 plus alpha and then theta. So, theta is like theta 1. Same thing can be written for R2 also. R2 is temperature at theta 2. Resistance at theta 2 temperature. So, R0 1 plus alpha theta 2. And now what I am going to do is I am simply dividing them. When you divide them, this is gone. And now we get R1 upon R2 is equal to 1 plus alpha theta 1 upon 1 plus alpha theta 2. So, I can basically do componendo and dividendo. Once I do that and solve it for alpha, I get alpha is equal to R2 minus R1 upon R1 theta 2 minus R2 theta 1. So, this is the expression for alpha which we get. And in this expression can also be used to find if one of the R1 or R2 or one of the temperature is missing. Now there is a question. This question says a wire is stretched. Remember, when we are saying stretched means we are keeping the volume same. We are not adding any new material in it. So it's double to its length. Then we need to find the new resistance if the original resistance of the wire was R. So we know that the length is becoming twice, but at the same time, to keep the volume constant, the area will become half, and hence we know that due to this the resistance will become twice, and due to this resistance will become more twice. So we know that final resistance will be nothing but 4R. So when you can also, like, this is one way to understand. Other way, you write proper things. You write the original resistance. R is rho, let rho be the resistivity L by A. The final resistance is rho 2L, that is the new length, divided by new area, that is A by 2. And that is 4 times rho L by A. And that gives me 4R. So resistance becomes 4 times the original resistance. So this is one way or this is one way. You can do any of the method. Next question says, the resistivity of the ferric chromium aluminium alloy is this. So rho is this. A sheet of the material is 15 centimeter long and 6 centimeter wide, as you can see in the figure. Now they are saying and 0.14 centimeter thick. Determine the resistance between opposite ends. And next option is determine the resistance between opposite faces. So when we are talking about opposite ends, basically we are talking about these two. Now, what is the resistance? Resistance is rho L by A. It's just that you have to be very careful about the length and area of cross section. Rho is already mentioned. So rho is 51 into 10 raised to power minus 8. The length is this length because current is flowing like that. So it is 15 centimeter. What about the area of cross section? See, when current is flowing, it is having this area of cross section. So this is 6 centimeter and the width is simply 0.014. So this width is 0.014 centimeter. Just multiply these two and get the area. So this is 84 into 10 raised to power minus 2 and minus 3. Minus 7 meter square. So I kept all the things in SI, and now once we solve it, we can get our answer. So let us get the answer for this, and that comes to be 51 into 15 divided by 84, and that gives us 9.1, and 10 raised to powers they will be basically 7 powers will be cancelled out. So we'll just have -1 over here. So 9.1 into 10 raised to power -3, and the resistance will be in ohm. So this is the resistance. Next thing is the opposite phases. So when we are talking about these, so here current is passing like this. So these are opposite phases, right? Both the phases. So now here I will just again consider the L and the A properly, and I'll get the resistance. So rho is still same, 51 into 10 raised to power -8. The length is basically this, which is 14 into 10 raised to power -3 and -2, so -5. And the area of cross section is basically 6 and 15. So 90 centimeter square, so 10 raised to power -4. And once we solve this expression, then we get 51 into 14 by 90. So that is 7.9, and the 10 raised to power 8, this is -4, so we are left with -1, so 10 raised to power -9 ohm. So if you see this resistance is the lesser. See, this is 10 raised to power -9 ohm, and the previous one was having across these two was 10 raised to power -3. So that new resistance across this faces, opposite faces, is basically too small when compared to this resistance, as because the length is more and the area of cross section is very less. And when you talk about the next case, the length is very less and area of cross section is too much. So that's why there is a lot of change in the resistance. So always remember, the length has to be considered along the direction of the current. So here current is going like through the faces. Now let us discuss our next question, and this question is: a potential difference of 100 volt is applied to the ends of a copper wire, which is 1 meter long. Calculate the average drift velocity of the electrons, and it is given that sigma is this, so the conductivity is given and the electron density of copper is also given. So here we have to get the drift velocity. So first, before we get the drift velocity, first let us write a relationship between sigma and the number density and all these parameters. So sigma is basically nothing but n E squared tau by m. This is what our sigma is, right? So, and my drift velocity, what is the formula for drift velocity? The drift velocity is basically the E, capital E by m times tau. So this is my drift velocity. Here if we say that electric field is not given, now what I can do is I can simply write this as NE, and 1E and tau I am leaving this side, divide by m also over here. This divide by m, I'm just multiplying with this E and I'm dividing with this E. So what is this? This is eventually my drift velocity. So drift velocity and sigma we have already related now. Now it is just electric field which we need to get. Now we have already know that V is equal to the electric field into distance, or electric field is basically V divided by the distance. So what is the potential difference? Potential difference over here is 100 volt. So 100 volt divided by the distance. Distance is nothing but length of the copper wire, which is nothing but 1 meter long. So answer is, this is like electric field is 100 volt per meter. So the E value I can substitute. So E is just 100 volt per meter. The N is basically mentioned over here, and sigma is mentioned over here. This is sigma. And once we put N, sigma, E, electric field, and then E is what? The elementary charge, 1.6 into 10 raised to power minus 19 coulomb. And this is my drift velocity. So drift velocity is nothing but, this is sigma E by N small e. And all these values are known. Hence we can get our drift velocity. So this is how this has to be done.